We've seen how one city is utilizing renewable energy to achieve zero emissions. However, not every city can rely on traditional green sources to provide energy. Our next guest has dedicated her career to researching and developing an often overlooked renewable energy source, hydrogen. Enass Abo-Hamed is one of the founders of H2GO, a company looking to make hydrogen energy cleaner and more accessible. We spoke with her at CES about her work and the potential promise of hydrogen. Can you talk to us about the genesis of H2O Power Go, how you came out with this?
We started H2GO Power around 8.5 years ago, and this was before Paris, before the climate conversation was a mainstream conversation, or before financial markets really needed to start thinking about emissions and their implications on the climate. What we wanted to do back then was very focused on a technology that we developed in the lab. During my PhD, I came up with a technology that I patented, and then with my co-founder, we had endless discussions on how does that apply to the industry, and how does hydrogen have a place in the energy game. And we've pitched it a lot around back then, but there was not a lot of need for it, and there was not a lot of traction for decarbonization. And that's why we had a very slow start. But that was a start. I think the main point where things really transformed and H2GO Power became a company on a mission was after a trip to Africa, and seeing firsthand that actually not everyone has a switch and they can control when the power come in and whatever they do with that. So a trip to Africa really taught me about that, and I came back and I thought that this is not only about technology. This is not only about what you do in world-class labs where you have a lot of smart people and you could brainstorm fantastic ideas and come up with technologies. This is about how to use them and how to introduce them to those who need them and solve real problems. And that's really that was the moment where we really transformed thinking about technology and what we meant by it to actually like starting a business. And over the years, our technology portfolio kept developing and expanding, going after whoever is going to use it and how much impact they're going to get if they did. And how do you expand and scale that impact worldwide?
Before co-founding H2GO, Enass graduated from Cambridge University. She went on to form H2GO with her business partners, patenting a method of safely storing and utilizing water-derived hydrogen energy. H2GO has begun looking at powering mobile devices, including consumer drones. Though early, this technology looks to provide 3 times the additional power at a similar size to current lithium-ion batteries. So talk to me about those early conversations, because as you said, it seems like climate change is this issue that everybody's like, oh my God, it's terrible, but I don't know what to do about it, you know? And then to get people to actually start to buy in and like, look, this is a way to address this. Can you walk us through what those conversations were like initially? And I imagine, are they always still tough, or have they gotten better, or just what's it been like going through that process?
That's such a good question. So early on, the conversation was about purely the technology and how exciting it was. And it depends who you had this conversation with, but people who could understand technology were not many. We did manage to get a few people really excited about the technology because they could understand it. And that was a fuel to actually like motivate us to continue. because actually the majority of the conversations were not motivating. Not many people understood the technology, and when you are pitching a solution to a problem that exists, but there isn't a lot of awareness about it, people don't think that there is a problem. And it was a situation like that, where we've been thinking about a big solution to a problem that not many people did know. And it wasn't only on us to create the awareness. And the change started actually not from us. The change started from conversations and agreements like the Paris agreements, where there was a global agreement that actually we do have a big problem. Emissions are coming after us, and we need to solve that. And technology is a central piece of solving that puzzle. And this is when actually we started to get more people wanting to learn and wanting to understand about how technologies and solutions like the ones that we were talking about mattered and could perhaps make a difference and an impact.
World map with the energy poverty that we have in the world, and it's a lot.
Though her ideas were patented and brilliant, Enass still faced a steep road, littered with challenging obstacles, having to prove her technology on the global stage despite her young age and gender.
More refugees, like I see it in the picture.
Being a woman entrepreneur, building a hardware and a software business before the market, it's like the worst combination of events that you could put together. Really difficult. I think the fact that I was also a scientist and under 30 when we started also like added a challenge to be taken seriously, actually telling people that, you know, I'm one person, but I think I am capable of bringing a solution that could scale and millions could use it. That was a particular challenge for a long time, and I've learned to pitch in many different ways, and I've also learned to try and get out there as much as I can and accept that maybe a small percentage of acceptance and traction will be there, but it can't be impactful enough. And over time you build your credibility and your voice gets heard with the help of what happens in the market, in policy making. When the industry starts talking about the problem and they have a much bigger voice, then I think people start to pay attention. Actually, there's a smaller voice that started to talk about that a few years ago. This is the proudest achievement of my life so far, because it feels like we've predicted the market before it was there.
Oh, you should be proud. You say pitch in different ways. So for our viewers, pitch in a way where they can understand how this technology works and how it's going to be beneficial for them long term.
So what we do is we build hydrogen technology solutions. Special focus is on storage when it comes to the hardware solutions. Why we do that? Hydrogen is a happy gas. It wants to be everywhere, and in order to get enough of it in one space, you have to compress it. And that can be very dangerous and have a lot of monetary implications. So it can make it more expensive. And when you're talking about introducing hydrogen to the industry and making it cost competitive with other solutions, you really want to introduce solutions and technologies that actually reduce the cost and not increase it. So what we say is that we solve the safety problem, we solve the efficiency problem, and on top of that, you could store more hydrogen in less space. And we do that by eliminating compressing or adding pressure into the process and converting the gas from its gaseous state, where it's happy and wants to be in a large volume, into a solid state, where you bring it all into a much smaller space and make it safe, because you're not compressing it. You're doing it through chemical solutions.
In a world with ever-growing energy needs, the demand for a safer source is a main driver. The planet today already has nearly 400,000 tons of nuclear waste product, from energy generation. With this waste unable to be securely disposed of, new methods will be needed to fuel the ever-expanding world of our devices. Though our world is running out of fossil fuels and their use is endangering the planet, walking these halls, it becomes clear our energy consumption will only continue to grow. This is where her innovation may offer us salvation.
Let's talk about the use of hydrogen. How widespread is it globally right now, and your vision of how widespread it'll be in the future?
So, hydrogen is not a new fuel. It's been widely used in the chemicals industry, in power and heat, in the steel making process in the steel industry. So it exists as a commercial commodity that you buy and use. I think what is missing is taking hydrogen, making it clean, making it from clean resources, creating the demand to make a lot of hydrogen. Because today we have around 1% of the hydrogen that is being made comes from renewable energy and clean resources. That's too little. We need to be in a completely different place if we really want to hit our net zero targets. And today there is an agreement, a wide agreement, that there will not be a net zero world without hydrogen. So it has to be adopted, and the demand for it needs to be created, and we need to make it clean, because that is the way forward to actually cut emissions fast, but also increase the demand in industries, transportation, and other applications where hydrogen can be a central solution to decarbonizing operations fast.
Let me ask you this. As a young girl growing up, did you ever see yourself as this type of person? I mean, what was it that happened in your life that you think sent you in the direction where you're working in the type of work you're in today?
So I'm a daughter of an engineer, and
there's the answer, right?
And growing up, I was actually very interested in building cars, understanding how you put bridges together. When I used to get like a Barbie palace, I used to make a parking lot for my brother's little cars. I was always that type of girl. So I was always interested in engineering and science. I am a scientist who runs an engineering business. But importantly, I would say that taking a problem that is very interesting and trying to think about solutions with the tools that I have for it, I think that was always like something that gave me satisfaction. And my job is actually a really good job for doing that. No shortage of really challenging problems. And whenever I solve one, I feel very, very satisfied. So that's why I'm still in the job after 8.5 years.
The potential hydrogen offers in storing power generated by other renewable energies is perhaps its greatest strong suit. Solar and wind energy are heavily reliant on the seasons, meaning that they do not reliably generate a uniform amount of current. However, summer sunlight and winter winds can now be harnessed year-round, all without the use of toxic chemicals and elements used in our current batteries, making hydrogen a solid contender as tomorrow's energy storage solution.
I want to get your thoughts on leadership, because I think, young people like yourself a lot of times don't end up in leadership positions. You are in one. What are some of the burdens of leadership? How much time do you spend thinking about leadership? what are some kernels of wisdom about leadership that you might be able to provide for us?
So let's start from maybe the wisdom on leadership. One thing that I feel I'm good at is letting myself being dragged and listen sometimes to others and let them and follow them. I think this was one of the things that actually allowed me to gain a lot of trust from people, and through that really earn the position of being able to lead in some circumstances. So leadership isn't always about being the person at the top making a decision and everybody taking your decisions and executing them. That definitely is not my journey. A lot of it is actually asking for help, and through doing that, listening to people and following what they think is correct. This is definitely the way my leadership style at the company. I am being led a lot more than I tell people what to do.
That's such an interesting linkage, listening and leadership, because I don't think a lot of leaders do listen enough.
100%. If listening was a great attribute of many decision makers 10, 15 years ago, you would not have the same energy crisis we have today, for example. Or if leaders listened to the scientists in the 50s who said we have a climate change problem, we would not have the same, we would not be living the same consequences as today. We would not be rushing towards making decisions faster and faster and faster and expecting faster results to happen in short amount of time. So definitely, I think listening is very important and really needed.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you so much.